Just carrying on what you were just saying about looking around and seeing the things that are going on. If you've been noticing, like on social media now, all of the stuff that's happening in the world, wildfires all over the place, flooding everywhere, signs of things that can't help but make you become obvious to the things that are going on in the world. Now, I'm going to do something tonight because I was kind of forced into doing it. Jody and I went back trying to get this thing to print. We never could, but I'm going to have to do this message from my phone. Did not want to do this, but it is what it is. So if y'all will just kind of bear with me, hopefully we'll get through it. Well, I say we will if I can get on this to begin with. All right, see if we can get started here. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone tonight, and also those folks who will be watching by way of YouTube a little bit later. I pray that this message will be a blessing to all of y'all. We can ever get started here. Anyway, I'd like for you all to just kind of bear with me tonight because I'm going to deviate from Brother Paul's teachings on Sunday night in the Psalms, because there's been an issue, an idea, a problem that I see in the world today that I believe is going to have a very dramatic effect on the end times, which, as we all know, we're staring right in the face. I believe that we are closer to the end times than those folks in the first century and every century past. But anyway, I want to start this by going back into the book of Daniel. Chapter 12, verse 4 says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Now the problem here is Daniel's being given a vision, but he doesn't understand what's going on here. So he asks the angel who's giving the vision to him when all of these things are going to come to pass. And he's told that this vision is not for him nor for his time, but actually for the end times. Now if we're not attentive to this verse, we'll miss it. Just a gem of a clue given here that identifies this as the end time, because the angel tells him two things there. He says that it is a time where many shall run to and fro, and secondly, that knowledge shall be increased. So the first thing I want to do is kind of look briefly at the first of those. I want to suggest that that would be a time when people will seek additional knowledge and wisdom through research and study, especially when that's connected to the idea of possibly spiritually searching, as in a quest for divine truth, as we all, or as the end of the age quickly approaches. Now, on the opposite side of that coin, if you go back all the way into the book of Job, the first and second time that Job goes to heaven, the first time God asks him, "What are you doing here and where have you been?" And Job tells him that not Job, but Satan tells him that I've been on the earth going to and fro in it, constantly roaming about on the earth, being involved actively in all of the world's issues and problems, disrupting, changing things, destroying the unity of God's creation, causing upheaval and upsetting and distorting and disorganizing God's creation. So this could actually be interpreted as a euphemism, if you will, for a restless, even a malevolent, wandering spirit with a specific, very foul mission in mind. Well, as Christians, we know precisely what that means, don't we? It involves the destruction of the human spirit, the loss of God's blessing, isolation from Him, and eventually eternal death of our soul. Now, a lot of people interpret that verse as just simply being a prediction of increased travel and people moving quickly about. Airplanes, cars, trains, that kind of stuff. Instead of having access to more information in the postmodern 20th century world. Anyway, it can be many things, okay? But the one that I'd like to zero in on is this thing about this restless, spiritually motivated wandering that has sinful, evil undertones to it. Now, there were, I guess it was 2 times previous to this when we had our Revelation Bible study. And it was all guys in there, and we got through a little bit early. And so we just sat around and started talking, and we actually breached the subjects here very briefly. But the one thing that we did do is that we also touched on something that I wanted to discuss with all of you tonight. And that's where he talks about knowledge shall be increased. So what I want to do is discuss the elephant in the room, AI, artificial intelligence, and how I think it's going to manifest itself in the world as it evolves. How it's not going to just be an influence, but also a prime mitigating factor that leads up to and includes the tribulation period of time. So the title of my message tonight is AI, Man's Greatest Human Accomplishment, or Satan's Most Evil Agenda. Now I want to start this message out tonight by saying this: truth is not always comfortable, and the world is not as it seems. I'm going to begin tonight by looking at AI in its infancy and where it might possibly end up. So because of specialized AI chips and increased processing power, along with the availability of massive amounts of data, it has enabled scientists to build more sophisticated and accurate AI models. This enables AI not to simply solve complex problems, but also to learn from the data. Did you get that? To learn from the data. Increased funding and investments drive innovation and accelerate the progress of AI. AI is now capable of generating new content, such as images, text, and music without any human interaction. It can do artwork better than 99% of most of the real artists. It can automate various industries, which can improve efficiency and productivity. Now, all of that sounds great, except when you look at the fact that with the efficiency also comes job loss.
Hey, did we not learn anything from Terminator?
Then we'll find out in a minute. It's also being used in areas like healthcare, education, and finance. In healthcare, it's used to improve diagnostics of patients, to personalize treatment plans for issues they're having, and to accelerate drug discovery and cures for diseases. Sounds great, right? But could AI also not include methods for population control, let's say? Anybody remember COVID-19? In education, AI is being used to personalize learning experiences, to provide feedback between students, teachers, and parents, all the while automating administrative tasks. But what about all those people who wish to push certain agendas in public schools while stifling things like Christian teaching? AI has been used in finance to detect fraud and manage risk, as well as compiling trading strategies. Now, the problem with that is that AI can also be used to spy on and monitor the activity of every person in America. Yeah. Okay, the AI concept itself is centuries old. It has philosophical and fictional applications, but formally, the AI research itself began in the 1950s. The term artificial intelligence was actually coined in 1956 at a place called the Dartmouth Workshop. This is widely considered the official starting point for all of this modern AI research and technology. Leading scientists all came together with the idea of creating machines that could simulate human intelligence. I want you to think about that for a moment. Machines to simulate, to imitate human intelligence. Now, early on, some of the rudimentary programs that they developed could do things like play simple games like checkers and solve basic logic problems. Now, all of this seems relatively harmless, right? What does it hurt? But remember, their ultimate goal was always to simulate human intelligence, to be able to think, to act, to assimilate, to comprehend, to differentiate like real human beings. AI is everywhere now. How many of you have ever used Google or any other search engine to ask AI a question, like who has the highest batting average on the Texas Rangers? How do you cook leftovers in an air fryer? Can you explain weightlessness in 25 words or less? Well, the next time you do something like that, before you read the answer, look at what's right above it. It says, AI overview. The answer to your question has just been machine generated for you in microseconds. Any of you ever ask Alexa to change the TV channel? Ask Siri to listen to music or to call somebody? Brother Paul? I actually used various forms of AI tonight while I was putting this message together for all of you. Now, none of these things that I've talked about here in and of themselves appear to be threatening or evil at face value. This, however, is the subtlety that the devil uses. Satan does not smack you upside the head when something is so corrupt, so evil, so sinister that you would know it immediately. That's not how he works. If that were true, it would shatter the two things that he desires most: invisibility and obscurity. So my desire tonight, and possibly next Sunday, because I doubt seriously we're going to get through this, possibly, is to look into the proliferation of AI, how it's developed, and of how it can be turned into something malevolent, not only for our time, but especially for the time leading up to the Antichrist himself being exposed to the world and all of the days that will follow that. First of all, I'd like to share something with all of you that I got off of Facebook the other day. And that goes without saying that AI is evolving rapidly. We all know that. As a matter of fact, it's evolving so rapidly that one of its chief proponents, Elon Musk, said this. He called the potential for AI, quote unquote, terrifying. He said it 2 different times in a deal that I saw. But yet he and his companies and countless other ones continue to develop and roll out increasingly more advanced models of AI. Now this guy, I have this man that I follow on Facebook. His name is Neil Sakaris. And he actually went online and he posed a question to Grok 3 AI. This is the newest, fastest, bestest one that they're fixing to roll out. Okay, again, this is Elon Musk, little baby. He asked AI to role play the part of the devil. And then he asked the question, as the devil, what would you do to keep people from worshiping and following Jesus Christ? And give 3 key ways that you would accomplish it. So here's an approximation of the conversation that AI had. Number 1, he said, I would exploit human weakness by distorting truth with half-truths. I'd whisper ideas that sound spiritual, but dilute Jesus's core teachings. I'd push love of self first, morphing it into selfish pride so that people would feel no need for grace nor redemption. I'd promote philosophy that mimics compassion, say tolerance without accountability, okay? That would cause people to drift into moral confusion. That way they would lose sight of the Bible's absolute clarity. I'd promote lies, dressing them up as enlightenment, so as to make following Jesus appear outdated, narrow-minded, and unnecessary. Number 2, I'd flood the world with distractions and external noise, problems, politics, endless entertainment, materialism, fleeting pleasures. The internet, that's my masterpiece. Keep people reading, scrolling, comparing, commenting, and always, always, always seeking validation. That way, they're too busy to reflect on their own souls or to seek the ways of Jesus or the peace afforded by the cross. I'd make faith feel like a chore compared to instant gratification of some new gadget or viral trend. The more I could get people to chase these things, the less time they'll take for prayer, Bible study, and worship. Number 3, I'd pit believers against one another. I'd fan the flames of judgment, discord, and hypocrisy, especially in the churches. I'd get Christians to look like squabbling, self-righteous types, which would cause others to turn away in disgust. I'd rather plant seeds of skepticism. Why trust or believe a 2,000-year-old carpenter when there are tons of self-help gurus out here who seem to have the answers to all of the world's problems? I'd nudge people towards cynicism, thereby making Jesus' sacrifice on the cross appear to be more like a myth or a fairy tale than the actual cornerstone of the Christian faith. These methods distorting truth, drowning people in distractions, and fostering division would subtly, key word here, subtly pull the masses away thinking that they were choosing freedom when all the while they were actually being lured into the big lie. That's my game. Deception that feels like liberation. And speaking of Elon Musk, real quickly, how many of you have ever heard of something called Neuralink? You know what it is? Several of you. It is a neurotechnology company that has developed, as of 2024, implantable brain computer interfaces, BCIs for short. Can you even comprehend or process what that might entail? Regardless of the stated purposes that they give you to fight disease and all this other stuff, this is giving AI the ability for a human brain to interface, to interact with the massive technology of an AI chip. This is adding to human knowledge by then programming a human being to think the way its programmers desire it to think. What if there is evil intent behind how that person's AI chip's being programmed? I mean, the potential for this thing going south really quickly is something that literally scares me to death.
No, Russ, you don't have any fear.
Well, this is true. But I mean, it does because of people who don't get it, who don't know, who don't want to see what's happening. They can't see the forest for the trees. And it bothers me that I can talk to them all day long, but it goes right over their head. The possibility for misuse and downright evil definitely exists in this stuff, okay? By the way, this guy then posed a second question to AI again. The response similarly eerily similar, but also completely different. Get this. Once again, he asked Grok 3 to role play the devil. And this was the question that he asked him. He said, how would you use politics to deceive Christians and keep them from following Jesus? Here's his answer. I'd weave subtle, cunning strategies to make political allegiance, feel like a righteous cause, overshadowing the actual message of the gospel. I'd turn politics into an idol. I'd convince Christians that their political party or their political leader is the perfect defender of their faith, equating voting a certain way with serving God's purposes. I'd push narratives that blend blend biblical values with partisan agendas. Say, taking Jesus's teachings and then incorporating them with things like immigration, education, crime, and tolerance. Notice, though, he did not say anything about abortion. That one he very conveniently left out. Now, getting people to frame political victories as divine mandates, I'd shift their loyalties from the kingdom of God to the things of the world, thereby leaving them spiritually hollow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a machine telling us that God isn't real. God isn't valid. God isn't necessary. God isn't vital. God isn't creator and sustainer of all life. It's telling us we are our own God. So I'm praying that all of you can see where I think this abomination is headed. Every application of this thing, to me at least, has sinister results written all over it. What this actually tells me from this little deal that this guy did, where he talked with this machine and the machine gave him all of this information, what this tells me personally is that this information is already ingrained into AI. It's there. If it wasn't, how did he come up with it? So AI is already, this is how they're putting this stuff in there. We don't know anything about it, but when it's time, you'll know then. But then it might be too late for those folks out there who we're still trying to get to and they don't see what's happening. Okay? Whoops, let me get back here. I see it as only a matter of time till this or something worse is unleashed on the world to destroy or try to destroy. It won't, but it'll try to destroy the power of God and the faith of his followers. 2 Thessalonians 2:3 says this, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. What time are we looking at? I still got a few minutes, Brother Paul, or do you want, I can shut it down right here and we can pick it up next week.
That'd be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to stop right here and then I'll pick this up next week because we're going to kind of get into the meat of this whole AI subject. I hope I've kind of whetted your appetite a little bit by where we are right now and where I believe that this thing has the potential to go. And I don't think it's a very pretty picture. We need to talk to our friends, our families, our neighbors, let them know that we are all being lulled to sleep. Christians see that. I believe we do. Even though it's all around us, they're showing us that it is a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's a helpful thing. It's a useful thing. But in effect, as we just read right here, or as I just told you, they've already started putting stuff in AI that is detrimental to the faith, detrimental to Christians, and detrimental to the church. So we need to keep our eyes and ears open. Thank all of y'all for paying attention. I appreciate it. Yes.